Hi, hi, hi. This is Vernita, your founder of Survivors with a Testimony. We have Miss Shalina Hensley with us today. We're coming to spread awareness on domestic violence, sexual assault, answer your questions that you may have. Shalina is also part of the SWAT team. So, just to give you guys just a little bit about who I am the founder, the visionary of SWAT. I am a mother. I am a wife. I am an author. Most of all, I am an advocate, and I am a survivor of what was meant to break me, what was meant to destroy me. But with all, I overcame. And so I'm here to help spread awareness so that no other woman or man or child have to suffer at the hands of an abuser. We're holding our batterers accountable for their actions. So, with that being said, I'm going to let Miss Shalina introduce herself to you guys. And Miss Shalina, can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yes, my name is Shalina Hensley. I'm a mother, grandmother of a mother of five and a grandmother of 10.
Wow, simply amazing. So, Shalina, let me ask you a few questions. And, of course, if our viewers have any questions, they can definitely answer. I'm trying to get you guys questions from Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. So, Shalina, you you say you are a mother and you are a grandmother. So,
Yes.
let me just give them some information on what domestic violence is, just in case a person is viewing and you do not know what domestic violence is. It's intimate partner violence abuse, where your intimate partner can abuse you physically, mentally, psychologically, even if a lot of people don't understand if they spit on you, if they hit you, they slap you, whatever. That's intimate partner violence. Sometimes it's not always physical. It can be, as I said, verbal, nonverbal, psychological, emotional. And even if you married and your husband takes your body, that's considered rape. So I want everybody to understand no means no. So with that being said, um sexual assault is just that when someone takes, there's not a consent to sex. And as a minor cannot consent to sex. And so I said that because Shalina's story, talks about sexual assault. So this roundtable is going to be a little different than others that we do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the mic over to Shalina. She's going to tell you guys her story, and then I'm going to come back and ask some questions, how she overcame. And believe me, guys, when you hear her story, you know our thing today is broken but not destroyed, and you're gonna hear, at times, that would have broke a person into pieces, that could have destroyed her, it could have just really took her out mentally, but through it all she's still here to spread awareness. So Shalina, the mic is yours.
Okay. Once again, my name is Shalina. My abuse started when I was like 9 years old. Then it was a friend of the family or whatever. Then as me being a child, at the time, I didn't know. This man, first encounter to this man, we'll walk to the store or whatever, and then one day he took me into the woods and he started having sex with me. At the time, I wasn't nothing but 9, so I didn't think nothing of it or whatever. And all of this had happened. I started to go to school, and the teacher called my mom saying your daughter looked pale. What's going on with her? Um, she took me to the doctor. I found out I was pregnant. I was like 6 months. Mind you now, I wasn't but 9 years old, you know, taking a child in my stomach, I didn't know, the outcome of it. And once I start to have the child, I was 10 when I had my first child. And it hurted me because I didn't know what was going on. I wanted but a child myself. And I bring awareness to it. I wish that on nobody to go through, because we live in a time now that people really don't care what your age is. They up under you or whatever. And with me, um I brought my child into this world. My first child, like I said, I had at 10. She's 32 now. It didn't stop there. I had my next child at 14 or 13 years old, and that didn't stop. I buried that child too. I brought both of them up into the world, and to let y'all know, that yeah, I was ashamed of both of my kids at first, and then I came to realize God said, I won't ashamed of you. Why you gonna be ashamed of your kids that you birth into this world? And so I tell anybody now, I'm proud, of my two kids that I do have. They look at me, people look at me, oh, you got a 32, you got a 30-year-old. You started off young. I said, if you only knew my story, you can't just judge a person off the coverage of your what they've been through. You have to really know what a person been through in their life to, realize what, went on in their life.
So this, let me ask you this. The person that done this to you was a friend of the family, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if you have people out viewing this today and they have different people around their children, what advice would you give? Because some people just cannot be alone. And so maybe they not with the baby father. Maybe they just don't want to be alone. And so Joe Blow just seemed like he is the average nice guy. What advice would you give to a young lady right now who just don't want to be alone, just gotta have that significant other by them, but that person has a motive that they cannot even see?
My advice to single mom, single dad, please check out the person you are dating. I mean, do a thorough check behind behind them, or don't bring them around your children. Period. Until you had did, a thorough. They can talk this nice talk, but do a background check on them, like people do a credit check on. Do a background check on them.
Exactly. So, okay, you have your first child at 9, so you're in elementary school. How did
Yes.
your life begin to change? Because in elementary school, I'm thinking about playing with doll babies. You know, my dream is being like Barbie. You know what I mean? Like, one day I'm gonna have this big house. One day I'm gonna have a Ken. That was my dream at elementary school. So your life was just switched all of a sudden, right?
Right.
Okay, so um you're in elementary school, you find out that you're pregnant. Your mom found out that you're pregnant. What are the next steps? Do they allow you to stay in that school, or do they send you to a different school?
They didn't allow me to stay in that school. I had to go to an alternative school, which we call Agnes Phillip, and I had to go there. And I was like really like the youngest person there. Everybody were like grown, and me being 10 in a school like that, that I had, I was scared. I didn't know what the next move was gonna be. So they didn't let me stay in the elementary school.
So 10 years old, you have your first child.
Mhm.
So this man stays around.
Mhm.
Okay, so he's still around and then you get pregnant again.
Mhm.
So you get pregnant with your second child and you give birth to this child. What okay, so now you're 13 with two children. We're gonna say
Mhm.
13, 14 with two children.
Mhm.
All right, so now you have these two children. Did any legal action, come in play? What happened? Like, did anybody question you, like who was doing this? You know, did anybody have any questions of who? Did they come to you? Did they talk to you about, you know, and ask you questions like who done this to you?
Yes, the authorities had came to me. It started at school. They started noticing things. Um, After that, it was one. I'm not gonna forget it. It was like on November the 15th. I remember, clear this day that they came and remove all my siblings from my mom's house. They end up placing us in foster care. And once we got placed in foster care, they start doing the investigations. When they did the investigation, we told who did it to us. They went and got him, and they questioned him, and he said that he wasn't the father of the kids. So, by us being young, we had to get a DNA sample. The kids had to give a DNA sample. It came out that it was 99.99 he was the father of the kids.
So, um, when you guys went in foster care, and the reason I know people say, well, guys, this is violence on a different level. This is sexual assault. And we want people to understand like how serious this is. And especially we have a show coming next Saturday about protecting our children from predators. So um again, just in case you guys are just jumping on, this young lady had her got molested at 9 years old, had her first child at 10. After that child had another one, two children by the age of 14 years old. Could never have the enjoyment of elementary school that some of us had. Don't even know what it is and what it's like to go through elementary school, you know, but she still pushed through, had her children. So now you guys are in foster care.
Hmm.
And they didn't just take you and your children, but they took you and all your siblings. Did they
Hmm.
take your children as well?
Um, where I only had one at the time, so that my
Okay.
daughter, she was with me. She was with me and my other sister. We were in the same foster care together. And my other two siblings, they was in separate foster care. And so once I got into the stable foster care, that's when I had my son. And the foster care I was in, they adopted both of my kids because they wanted me to have a better life. And to this day, I'm so grateful of them, adopting, my kids. They could have been said, well, you just gonna have to take care of them. You do this, you do that, or whatever. They won't like that. There was good Christian, foster parents. You never, it's a million years that you will find a good, foster parents that will take in, adopt, two kids.
Mm. So your kids are placed in foster care. You guys are placed in foster care. You so let me ask you this one, because I know children can be harsh. So when you go back to school, what was the reaction of the children?
They get that girl. She had a child at age of 10. I had to hear this. People talking, and that hurted me because I like, I'm sitting up here 10, have a child, didn't have a childhood like everybody else did because I had children, even though my foster parents them took care of them, but I still had a big part in it too, or whatever. I gave birth, and when we hear people say, "Oh, she was raped," or "She wanted it," or whatever, I didn't want that because by me being a child, I didn't understand, so I didn't want to be raped or whatever, and
And
it
nobody
took a lot
deserves to
out
be
of
raped.
me, to the point where I'm at now. I'm grown, and it still take a lot out of me, because people, like I said, people look at me different, you know, that girl, she wanted it or whatever. That's not the case. If you haven't walked in somebody's shoe, you can't say what they wanted. And I'm here to tell anybody that, you know, I ask God to help me, if I can, let's spread the word, being molested, being raped. I don't care how old you are. If you said no, that means no. You know, that's the bottom line.
So y'all, sometimes these shows get very emotional. And for me, this is very emotional. I have children, and that's why I was very cautious who was around my children. Domestic violence don't care your age, it don't care your color, it don't care anything about who you are. Domestic violence can destroy you, and it hurts. And it hurts me even more to see someone hurt. But we do this to bring awareness, guys. So, Shalina,
Hmm.
um, authorities get involved with this, and they find out he's the father. What happens to him? Do he get a slap on the wrist? Is he out walking around? What happened?
They ended up arresting him. Um, we had to go to court. Um, he ended up getting sentenced. He got 50 years for me and 50 years for my sister. And all he got 100 years in prison. And we had to once all of this had got settled, we went through adoption for my foster mom and them to adopt my kids. And so I told the judge, I said, if he gonna be out there, I like, I'd rather not be in front of him to sign my rights up for my kids. Um, so what they did, they took him back, and that day I gave my kids up for adoption. 'Cause it was best because at the time I wasn't in a position to take care of two kids. So what I did, I gave my rights up. They had the best life. He was trying to contest me that he wanted his side of the family to get the kids. And the judge said, "Well, do you want me to add more time to your life?" So after that, I didn't hear no more. My foster my foster parents, they adopted my kids, and to this day, I'm so grateful of them. Even though Lord rest they so, you know, they adopted not only my kids, they adopted my sister's son, daughter, and they adopted some more kids.
So I hear you say that he didn't just impregnate you, but he impregnated your sister as well.
Yes.
So I want to say to the viewer, this is why it's important that we educate. This is why it's important that you know who's around your children. This is why it's important that when you notice and you are able to talk to your children. The reason being because when things like this happen, your child shuts down. You need to know the signs. You need to know what to look for. You need to know how to go and talk to your child. It's important that you build a relationship with your child so that when this happens, they can feel comfortable enough to come and talk to you. So now, Shalina, we talked about your story, how the children are adopted. So what age do your mom ever get you back? And number two, was your biological dad in your life?
My mom didn't ever she didn't ever get us back. I stayed in foster care till I turned 18, 18, and that's when that's when I left foster care and went back to my mom. At the time, my mom and my dad, they were separated. So, he was in our life, you know, when co-parenting and stuff. He worked it all the time. My mom worked it. So it was co-parent. My dad was in our life, you know.
So when your dad find out his children have been molested, pregnant, and all of this stuff, what happened? Like what did he do, or what was his
Um,
reaction?
he went to court. When we had court, my dad went to court, and my dad sat on the front row. And if I remember being a child, I would pray. I said, Lord, don't let my dad get up and hit this man. And so my dad, he every court date we had, my dad went, my mom went too, or whatever. So they were supported when we had court and stuff. And then like visitation for us, like when in foster care you have visitation. So they did their visitation, they came and see us and stuff like that.
Okay. So, yeah, my mind just be going because this like blow me away every time she tells her story. So we, so your parents are active going to the court cases, to make sure you guys have your stability. They never really gave up their rights to you guys.
Right,
Just trying to make sure that you was provided a better, well, I can't say better because I don't know, but a kind of stable home while
right.
y'all go through this cycle. Okay, so now you go through this cycle and you're 18, you go back to your mom's house. Um, what was it like going back there, after being gone so long, and after, being faced with the abuse, from a family friend? What was it like going back home?
It was strange. Um, it was strange for me going back home. I had to get used to stuff all over again. And with me, I tell anybody, I start looking for love in places, in men's and stuff. I'm not ashamed to tell it. And by being molested and stuff, you thinking, you vulnerable, you have to give yourself, that's a fine love. And so I started going out clubbing. I had got buck wild, you know. I was clubbing. I was clubbing from Friday to Sunday. I mean, I did finish school. I did, graduate from school. But that's how my life, had ended up. I did go back home to my mom. She would tell me right from wrong. I mean, I was between my mom's house and my dad's house.
So you go back, you end up finding yourself like just hanging out, and now that you've been introduced to sex, and a lot of people don't understand, and it's okay because y'all know I keep it 100 on these interviews.
Right,
And I keep it 100 anytime that I tell my story. I am a sinner saved by grace. God save me. Thank you, Jesus. But baby, I had a name. I was a hoe. Okay. If I seen it, I want it, I got it. I mean, I just keep it real. And I know some people can't, oh, she said that. Yeah, I said it. I haven't always walked by the word of God. I knew it, but I didn't, when you're hurt and you're broken, you're destroyed, you're trying to find things that's gonna satisfy you. And
right,
so I couldn't even imagine at 10, you know, somebody impregnating me, and so now I'm open up to these things that I shouldn't even be thinking about. So now you're 18, you're open up, um and like you said, you're looking for love in all the wrong places, and so many of us, and that's honestly how domestic violence happens. You just looking for this person to treat you right, and a manipulator is just that type of person. They know what you're looking for, they know your weakness, so they feel like they come in, they do what they do, and sweep you off your feet. So um all right, so now you're 18, you're doing your thing, you're hanging out, whatever. So, did you find yourself being attracted to older men, or did you find yourself just um trying to be
yeah, man, call you back.
did you find
It
yourself
it
um
was like
just
between, I mean, yeah, between younger men and older.
just whoever had just it was just a lot of manipulation. Okay, so now you're older, did you ever find yourself in a domestic violence situation because you just wanted to be loved?
Yes.
Okay, so now you're older, you got your children, and you have another child, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so you start having your children. So let's talk about some of the domestic violence relationships that you've been in. Like um what was some of the things that you went through when you went through domestic violence as an adult?
Um, with this dude, um, crazy. With this dude, I let him drive my car. Had different females in my car, and when I tried to get my car back or whatever, he wanted to fight me. He even had me like in headlocks, like he was gonna hit me with the bottle. Um, it was just crazy because I had my baby in danger along with me, and with that right there, that taught me that that really taught me. I I left that nigga alone. When I say I left him, I ran. It, it was just crazy when somebody want to see you down and want to beat on you and stuff like that. So I left running.
So I don't know if our viewers know like the power of control wheel. If I wasn't on my cellular device, I will be able to pull it up. So what she's talking about is power and control. A manipulator knows how to abuse you. They know how to bring you down. And I want to say to those out there, if you're cheating and you're in a relationship, you are causing emotional abuse on the with the person that you're with, because if they find out, it emotionally abuses them. So that's why I love what SWAT is all about, which is survivors with the testimony, because one, we keep it real, and then two, we educate on every form of abuse that there is. And so, Shalina, with that particular relationship, you're emotionally abused and physically abused, because threatening to do things to you and putting you in chokeholds, those are physical abuse, whether he knew it or not. He could have been charged for that. So
Right.
since I said that, did you take out a protection order against him, or what happened in that relationship?
I took out a restraining order on him, and the police couldn't find his exact address or whatever to like to serve him the papers. So with that case, I don't know what happened because they didn't ever keep up with me or whatever. So last time I heard that like we couldn't find the address to serve him with the papers.
Okay, so now this is a key that I want to put out there to every young lady and every male. If you're dating someone that do not have a solid address, a permanent address, where if things go south, you can have them, or if listen, be careful. If he got to come live with you, he meet you Monday, he got to move in with you on Tuesday. Let that joker go. Let him be somebody else's problem. Just don't allow him to be yours. Y'all know me. I keep it real. Same thing, men about women. If she don't have a solid place, she's staying from this girl's house to that her girl house, her cousin house, whatever, and don't move her in. She's not even stable. He's not stable. We have to look at these things. What caused them to be in that situation? you know I'm not telling you guys how to love, because love make you do some crazy things,
Right,
but be careful when you're in your feelings, because your emotions can cause you to be broken and destroyed. And I believe in keeping it 100. So if you guys have questions, you can always ask. We're gonna get them answered. All right, Shalina, so we talked about that relationship, and I don't know about you, but for me, I am a survivor. So when I went through domestic violence, once I was introduced to it, it seemed like I became a magnet to those type of relationships. Everybody that I run into, they seem like the perfect dude in the beginning, and then eventually, boom, here you go. Okay, the wall has fell down. I'm getting the real person now, and so it always led to a form of abuse. So you talked about that relationship. Were you in any other abusive relationships?
yes, I was in one that he snatched my keys out of my ignition, and I had this said surgery. And um I mean, sometimes we get ourselves in these relationships and we don't get the full background of these men. And it was he snatched the keys out of my ignition and went to the mom house, told his mom talked to this B or whatever. And I like, you got my keys, them my keys. And um I end up calling the police or whatever, and I like, look, hey, I just had surgery. I just need my keys back. I can get home. And so with that, that's still an ongoing case or whatever.
Okay. So one of the viewers said it's vulnerability because of what we go through and we settle. That is so true. Sometimes we do just settle. And I say all the time, those on my team know how I am. I don't just settle just to say, hey, I got a man or hey, I got a woman. They know I'm real about that. Um, so So this case is ongoing, so we're not going to really talk about that one, because people can, take footage and try to edit it and do whatever they want to do. So, we're gonna let that case die down, and then after you finish with that, we're gonna come back and bring it, bring the full story on it. So, guys, if you're just joining in, let me just fill you guys back in. Miss Shalina has been through sexual assault. Um, yeah, she's been through sexual assault. She was molested at 9 years old, had a child at 10, her first child at 10, second child at 13 years old, 13, 14 years old. So, she talks about how going through the foster care and, after the foster care, coming back out and, surviving and thriving to be who she is now. She's an advocate for domestic violence. She's an advocate for sexual assault. So she's been through a lot. And as this session is said, broken but not destroyed. Everything that she's been through was meant to break her. It was meant to destroy her, but she's still here. She has survived it all. So, for me, Shalina, I know that being a survivor is not always easy to tell your story, and especially in the beginning when you was telling us about what you went through. We was both about to break, because just molested at 10 and 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, that's a lot. All right, so um you go through, been through domestic violence, you've been through the sexual assault. What would you say to somebody who just feel like they just got to have somebody? What would you say to another young girl that's out there that's going through sexual assault at 10 and 11 years old? What do you say to them?
I would say to whoever, what child, I would like, I would say go to somebody you could confide in, talk to, say, hey, I'm going through this right now. I may not can't talk to my mom, you know, kind of confide in you to talk to you, let you know what's going on, because, my mom might not believe me, my dad or, my siblings might not believe me, but, can I, confide in you and talk to you? And let's be careful who you bring around your kids. This my biggest thing. That's my motto. Be careful who you bring around your kids. I have a 13-year-old, and she got more boobs than I do. And with her, I have to be careful with her because I do not want nobody to go through what I went through. Having, a baby at, how people look at, oh, she done had a child. And if you do get with a man here, look in your background, oh, she done been molested. She got other outside kids. He may not want to accept the kids as his or whatever. But if you come to unity and you marry that person, they your children responsibility too. And that go for a woman or male. That's how I feel. And my mom brought me up the right way. And like I tell anybody, for me to tell my story, it helps me to overcome what I have to overcome. My mom, that's my ride or die chick. And I tell anybody, I never down my mom, because that's my mom. When I tell my story, I don't be downing my mom. My mom helped me overcome to where I am now because I can talk to, we have a better relationship.
So great. I'm glad you stated that, but just in case anybody's going through anything with sexual assault, I did put the 800 number. It's posted on the screen. And I've heard you say that several times, that and I've seen your mom at events supporting you now. So let me ask you this. Have you ever went back to her and said, Mom, why didn't you do anything? Did she understand what was going on at the time? Um, or, did she explain to you, if she was scared, or, what did you ever go back to her and ask her any questions?
At the time, she didn't know what was going on, to everything had came out, and I forgave my mom because that's the right thing, because people are looking, your mom supposed to went to prison, your mom supposed to did, at that time, you got so much stuff running through your mind. You people that's throwing stuff at you, and sometimes you don't know what to believe when you that young of an age.
Right. I agree. I agree. Um, Man, this is whew, so you and your mom now have a relationship,
Yes,
and like I stated, I do see her coming out supporting you when you do speak about your story, and I do like the fact that you don't put her down, but you do hold her, hold everybody accountable for their actions, that they played in this because you was a child. With that being said, um, with that being said, you went through different forms of abuse, and now you're out advocating for other women, other men, children, and I know when we do things, especially that deal with children, you're real passionate about that. And as you stated, you have a 13-year-old. So, do you talk to your child now? Do you ever ask her, have anybody touched you? Do you have that talk with your child?
yes, but yes, I do. And I asked her daily, I like, anybody touch you? She said, no, mom, I know how crazy you are. And I even bought her a purse up there, 13 jailbait.
I
And
know
I
that's
even talked to my other two, even though they grown, I still talk to them.
so you talk to all five of your children about
Mm-hmm.
abuse, what it is. And,
Mm-hmm.
and so I heard you say that you have a son. So,
Mm-hmm.
and he's 30. So,
Uh-huh.
what do you tell him when it comes to young women, like to make sure they're of age before dating them?
That boy. I with him, I just tell, make the right choices. Anybody can tell you an age, and they not really the right age. You have to do some background. Like my 13-year-old, people think she's 17. No, baby. She's not 17, she's 13.
That's right. So you correct it, but you have that talk with them to let them
Mm-hmm.
know. Now, do you talk to your children about what abuse is? I mean, even the grown ones, because even being an adult, sometimes you need to know, hey, I need that reminder. So even with my girls, I often tell them, I talk to them about abuse, They may be like, "Oh, mom, I'm tired of hearing it," but it's okay. Guess what? They got it from mom first. So, do you
Right.
even talk to you talk to all of your children about it?
Yes.
Yeah. So, guys, normally our shows are 2 hours long, but this has been very emotional. For me, it's definitely been emotional for Shalina, especially telling her story. So this Saturday, you guys are going to get kind of a break, but we are coming back Tuesday. Tuesday, we have our leaders talking. We have women coming to speak to you on spiritual abuse and domestic violence. Next Saturday, we have protecting our children from predators. So we have the Greenville Police Department. We have J Lot. We have Roger Green and Sabrina Bistro Wiggins coming to talk to you guys to educate you on what human trafficking, labor trafficking, and child trafficking is. So I say next week will be very busy as well. So you guys tune in, be educated. Domestic violence hits so many different areas. It's not just physical abuse, but there is physical, sexual, emotional, psychological, spiritual. Um, I'm missing one or two, I'm missing two, but domestic abuse come in so many different forms. And with SWAT survivors with a testimony, we're giving survivors that have a testimony an opportunity to come to introduce to you what they went through, how they overcame, and some of us are still struggling, to push through. So just stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. And Shalina, before we close this out, I have three questions for you. One, did you seek any type of therapy or counseling after any of the abuse that you've been through?
Yes.
Okay. And was it Christian counseling or was it therapeutic counseling?
It was therapeutic counseling.
Right. Okay. So with your because even with me now, even though mine's happened, I still, go to therapy. I still go through counseling. So are you still in the process of, do you still see your therapist and your counselors? Do you still see them, or you kind of went
Yes.
through you still see them? Awesome.
Mhm.
So with that being said, we're not going to hold our people past one. Any words of advice that you want to give the people?
Just be mindful who you bring around your kids. If you see your kids acting strange, ask them what's going on with them. If they don't feel comfortable talking to you, seek will they talk to somebody else. That's being mindful. We living in a terrible world right now that men and women are doing anything to these kids.
Yes, one of our viewers said never give up. And so we are pushing to the mark, making sure SWAT is all around global, international, bringing awareness on domestic violence and its inner parts. So, guys, like we said, we wasn't going to hold you guys too long today. But if anybody want to donate to SWAT so we can continue doing what we be doing and to continue to make a mark into our community, you can cash app us at the money size SWAT Inc. 2020, or you can send us a donation through PayPal, survivors with a testimony at gmail.com. Our website is coming soon. So much more will be posted on you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at SWAT Inc. 2020. You can please go and subscribe to our YouTube. It's SWAT Inc. Space 2020. Make sure that you guys stay tuned because we have so much more to offer you guys and so much more that we're doing. We're working tirelessly around the clock to bring awareness and bring people to the table to tell you all about domestic violence and what it is, educating you on every aspect of abuse that we can. And if there's ever anything that you want us to If there's ever anything that you want us to cover, please just let us know and we will try to make it happen. So I want to say to you guys, thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in. But again, be careful who you have around your children. And remember, if no matter if it's a man or a woman, no means no. So if they say no, let it go. Just go about your business. So, with that being said, we want to say to you, Shalina, thank you for being an awesome part of this show on today. And we thank you for pushing through, not allowing what you've been through to destroy you nor break you. You're broken but not destroyed. God had a purpose, He has a reason. You are a survivor with a testimony, and we are grateful for you. So, I say to you all, be blessed. And again, if you want to donate, it's streaming right across the screen for you. You can donate at Cash App, the money sign, SWAT Inc. 2020, or PayPal, survivors with a testimony at gmail.com. We thank you all for viewing. We thank you all for supporting, and we thank you all for following, making sure that we do what we need to do to keep our community and our regions educated on domestic violence. You all be blessed and have an awesome Saturday.